What is up, my planting people? My name is Lithius and welcome to Roots Ready. As you can see, today I'm going to be giving you an update on this bad boy right here, or rather this bad lady right here, my Queen Anthurium. I'm going to be giving you a 1 month update on the progress that this plant has made. If you're interested in this, then strap in for the journey. So it's been roughly 1 month since I got this beauty of a plant imported from Poland, I believe it was. It's an absolute stunner. I was so happy to have this plant. If you haven't seen that video, I'll be sure to link it in the cards over here so you can go and have a look at that to see the unboxing experience and how I care for my rarer plants. And in that video, you're going to see the crucial first 24 hours, how I try to get this plant acclimated, especially after a long journey that it made from almost halfway around the world. It's very important. Definitely go check it out. I'm going to link it over here, as I said. And today is a 1 month update. This plant has been doing some stuff, and I'm going to be sharing that with you in this video today. So as you can see, this plant is in a different setup to that first video. I have actually in fact gone ahead and I've changed over the pots. I made an Amazon order and this pot actually came in maybe a couple of days after I made that video. So I waited about a week, made sure that the plant was settled in. What I did, I had that plant on a heat mat for a little bit. And I had it in a Ziploc bag. It was quite a large one, just to keep that humidity in. And I did that for the first week, so I didn't want to, mess around in the plant at all. I didn't want to go through the roots. I didn't want to disturb it at all. I just wanted it to settle in and do its thing. The first 24 hours are absolutely crucial to making sure that this plant is all set up. And then the next sort of important date is the 1 week mark. So in that time, I made sure I just left the plant as it was. I didn't disturb it. I didn't move it too much. I just left it there and just kept an eye on it. So after that 1 week, when I then decided that it was the right time to transfer the plant over, where the stress levels would be a lot less, and I wanted to put it into this pot, I then did that after the week. And here's a video just showing you that journey. Hello everybody. Welcome back to Roots Ready. It is approximately around a week, just over a week, since we received this beauty over here. My Queen Anthurium. I have had it acclimating under this bag, and as of yesterday, I had it on top of a heat mat, but I've now taken that away. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be checking on the roots. I wouldn't advise that you do this not so early on. I would probably recommend you wait for about a month. But I just bought a new pot which is clear, and I'm going to transfer it over. After that, it's been acclimating for a week. I'm going to transfer it, and it's just going to mean that I can keep an eye on the root without having to unpot the plant and disturb it any further or any more than I have to. In that 1 week, I've also watered the plant once whilst it's been in pond, and I have also removed the reservoir because I found that the pond was staying quite, it wasn't drying up because it was also in the humidity bag. So I just decided just to take it out and let it just water it as I would a normal plant. So I need to be really careful with this. So hold the plant, pour out the pond. Well, it looks like we may have some new root growth already forming from what I can remember. So yes, this leaf over here is well and truly yellowing. I think it can come off now, so I will be taking that off today. Just like so, just pull back, easily comes off. So that was ready to come off. This root, I think I accidentally broke this root actually when I was potting this guy up, but that's all good now. Just giving the plant a once over,
no rot. Some of the roots are still green. I can see some new growth if you see over here. If you have a look at this, there's a tiniest little root nub growing, so there is some activity, there's something happening under the soil. So I'm also going to try to clean up the roots and get rid of anything that's not viable as well, but for the most part the roots look just fine. So I am very, very, very happy with this. The main thing I was worried about was the stem down here, that there was no rot that was kind of traveling up or anything like that, and it doesn't look like there is, so that's really, really good news. This root is still doing great. This one as well, which is connected to this plant, is also doing really well, as is this one over here. Right, so I have just finished cleaning up the roots, and I've only taken out this much, so that's not too bad. So I'm quite happy with that. We've got some really good roots on here, some are still green and so on. So my hope is that once I put it into this pot, hopefully the roots can get access to a bit more light, green up and so on. And also I just won't have to keep bothering the plant really. So this is an orchid pot, clear. It's got an interior chamber that also helps with aeration, so that air can get in there and really help the plant. So I'm going to now start to pot the plant back up. Right, so there you have it. That was a really messy one, a lot messier than I expected. But you can see some of the roots just on the edge there. This is what I wanted, so that I can continue to watch it as it grows. Yeah, so I'm going to put the moss back on. I'm going to give it a water through. As I said before, I'm going to water it as I would a normal plant. I won't give it a reservoir, and I'm going to put it back under the plastic bag just to maintain some of that humidity. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. This was 1 week later, still going strong. Tune in again next week for another update on this beauty of a plant right here.
So as you can tell, that first week we lost that one leaf, that really, really old leaf, which is a shame, but it was expected. To be fair, I thought I would be losing this leaf over here. As you can see, it's a little bit, you know, crinkled, and it hasn't got a tip. It actually arrived like this. Not much else has happened. It hasn't yellowed or anything like that. It's actually stayed this exact same color since I've got it. And you know, we've had this one over here, which is starting to get a bit of a yellow tip and some yellowing like sort of spots. I don't know if you can see that just along there. But it's all good. And I know that this plant is doing really well. It's really starting to settle in. And I know that because if I turn it over here, look at that, guys. That is the newest leaf growing in. It's still very, very soft. It's very, very new. It only sort of started about a week ago. And it's grown so much already. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this leaf is going to be bigger than its previous leaf. And then from there, it will really, really take off. So what have I done in the last month? So since that last video that you guys have just seen, I have actually now removed this plant. I slowly transitioned it from that, you know, humidity dome, that makeshift one that I kind of created for it. I removed it because when I saw this leaf was coming in, it was actually hitting the edge of the bag, and I really didn't want it to get damaged or anything. I want to keep it looking very royal and very queen-like. So I made a decision to slowly transition it out of that bag, and that might be the reason for some of the yellowing and stuff like that, but it's okay. Because my room is actually quite, the relative humidity in there is actually quite high, and it's okay. So what I did is every day I would take the bag off of the plant, starting for, you know, about half an hour. Then I slowly extended it. Then I only have it on in the evening times. And then after about a week and a half, I was then in a place where I was comfortable enough to take the bag off completely. And since then, it's just been sitting just out in the open, and it's been doing really, really great. So as you can see, I've got some moss on the top, and that is actually hiding some amazing, amazing aerial roots. If you guys can see that, I'll be sure to include it in some B-roll if you can't. But we've got loads of roots sort of poking, you know, growing amazingly out of this moss on the top. There's some sort of right here in front of this leaf. There's loads of aerial roots sort of growing out and about. I did a little bit of digging under the pond, not much, just at the surface, and I can see that the stem is certainly rooting in. So there are loads of roots coming in. They're still very small at the moment. It's only been a month. I was hoping that they would take over the pot at this point, but they haven't done so. But that's completely fine. The fact is that it's growing, and it's growing really, really well. So I'm very, very happy with the progress that this plant has made so far. In terms of the hydroponic system, or the semi-hydroponic system rather, that I have this plant in, I do have it in a reservoir now, and I've got a little bit of nutrients solution in there. So I've only had it for a month, and I have in fact given it just a little bit, very diluted amount of nutrients in this solution at the moment. So I've got it sitting in less than a third. You know, the rule of thumb is a third. But with this one, I've actually got in a bit less than that. So the water sort of hits around this mark of the pot. So it's not much water in there at all. And I just kind of keep an eye on it. Every morning I go through, I evaluate the moss on the top. If it's dry, I give it a quick spritz. So I do that maybe once every 2 days. That's how long it takes to dry out. I give it a little spritz just to make sure that it stays moist. Because what I'm hoping to do is eventually move the plant further down into the pond, just so those roots are under the substrate as opposed to over it. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys remember, so there were two plants or two offshoots on this stem. So there's this one, which is the main one, and the leaf that actually fell off was actually from a completely different plant, or shoot rather. And it's still there. So what I'm hoping that I can do is, once these roots have really developed, I can propagate this and have this as a separate plant, and then the plant could then start promoting growth from the previous one, which has now lost its leaf. So it might not grow because it's working on this leaf. There's loads of energy going into this one as opposed to the other one. So I'm hoping that I can do that eventually. I won't do it just yet. I'll probably wait a couple of months, make sure I've got some really, really good roots on this one first before I transfer it over. In terms of the lighting, I still have this plant in a sort of a medium light at the moment. It's pulled back from my east facing window, and it's got a little bit of that morning light coming in and a little bit of grow light. So it's not, the grow light isn't directly on top of it, and the reason is these plants, I find that they don't love really high light. In fact, they prefer that sort of medium light, because that closely imitates the environment that they come from in the jungle, where it's a lot sort of more dappled light, because they do grow in the canopies and so on. So I'm not trying to blast this with light. And plus, when you provide it with a little bit of that medium light that they really do enjoy, you get a lot richer, darker green leaves like you have here. So you can see the difference between this older leaf, which is really sort of a light lime green sort of color, which is really it's amazing in its own right, but then you've got this new one coming in a lot darker. It looks really, really good. You can kind of see the veinage really popping against that darker color, and that's what I really want. So I'm trying to promote that in the plant by giving it a little bit, that medium light. I wouldn't go any lower than that, because the plant still needs to thrive, it needs to survive, it wants that light. But just to sort of in keeping with the aesthetic that I want and the richness of the green that I want on this plant, I'm only going to provide it with that medium light for the time being. So I'm really not trying to baby this plant too much. I just want it to be in a space, in an environment that it likes. Make sure that I keep on top of the humidity. Make sure I keep that sphagnum moss on the top very moist. And just make sure that it's happy, and just sort of just let it do its thing. That's all I want. I am planning to get a IKEA greenhouse, just a small one, just to house some of the rarer plants that I have. So this one, the Anthurium Regale cross with the Magnificum, I'm gonna also have that in there, and a few others. I recently bought a Forgetii. Love that plant. Oh, it's amazing. It's so much more beautiful than I expected it to be. And yeah, it's probably one of my favorite Anthuriums. But I think, there's, the Queen is just doing amazing for me right now, guys. I couldn't be happier with its progress. I'm hoping that by the end of the summer, by the end of the growing period, I can sort of get maybe 1 or 2 additional leaves, because I really do think that I am going to lose some of the older ones. This one, I reckon this one, because I think it's used to a sort of higher humidity, like a 90%, and I've only been giving it about a 70. I think this might go as well, so I really want to get some nice new growth on here, and maybe even propagate, as I said earlier, and start to promote some new growth, or start to stimulate that old bud, and get some growth out of that. So that's the plan for this plant. So that's it, guys. It's only been a month, but what a month it has been. As you can see, I'm very, very happy with this plant, putting out some new growth. The leaf is growing steadily. It's not the fastest growing Anthurium leaf that I have. I have another that, it doubles in size sort of every week, like the Regal Cross Magnificum was a really, really rapid grow once it started growing. This one, it's probably been this size for about a week, maybe less than that, maybe 3 days. And usually the other ones, just by scale, they'll be a lot larger. So I'm very, very happy also that I have it in this sort of plant setup with the little stand, because I do believe that this leaf will be bigger than the previous. So I'm giving it a lot of ground clearance to do that and to do its thing. But that was it, guys. Very, very happy. I will be back with another update in about a month or so, or less. If you guys want to see a more regular update, do let me know in the comments below, and I will do so. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you had success acclimating plants after a long journey in the mail? If you have any other tips, any other tricks that I can try, do let me know in the comments below. I'm also over on Instagram. If you guys have any questions at all about this plant, about the progress, about the journey, about my care for it in this semi-hydro system, do hit me up on my Instagram. It's @rootsready. My DMs are always open, always happy to help out wherever I can. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and keep planting.